You guys, naturally, the thing to do when you've ridden the Lowrider S Dyna and a typical Softail Lowrider S is to ride Stage 2 with the camo grade. And here we go. Thank you. Alright, I have got to preface this video with the fact that I love the Lowrider S. I loved it as a Dyna. I had to kind of fall in love with it as the Softail, but I rode it and I fell back in love, and here we are again, this time with Stage 2. So it's been a while. I'm not sure I'll be able to give you a distinct difference between your standard Lowrider S and the Stage 2. But I mean, what I can kind of tell you just by being here in slow speed, here in the parking lot, is that it feels torquier. It definitely feels more torquey here on the throttle. Torquey, touchy, whatever words you want to use. I think we're going to get on it a little bit faster than we did on your standard Lowrider S, which, I mean, that's expected, right? That's exactly what you expected. So not like the Dyna, there is no standard cruise control anymore on the Lowrider S. So the features, I would say, are, you know, you're not getting as much bang for your buck, but I think the price is also lower than it used to be with the Dyna. What we do have is on the controls here, with your standard Harley controls, you got left and right turn signals respectively on their sides, self-canceling. Yes! Okay, we're back. Lowrider S. Don't want to get too much trouble. We just took off like that in front of the highway patrolman. Okay, let's go back to the controls, guys. We got our trip toggle on our horn here in the same button, as well as our high and low beams. And on the right side, we've got power on and off, and then your kill switch and ignition. That's all there is to it, because there's no cruise control on the Lowrider S anymore. But I mean, when we're talking about a bare bones cruiser like Harley's been doing for years and years, I don't think it gets much better than this. And that's just my opinion, you know. For the longest time, like, my dream bike was the Dyna Lowrider S, and I have a lot of love for this bike too. There are a lot of highway patrol out here. They know that there's a demo event out here, and they know there's unguided rides just like the one I'm doing right now. So if I'm not getting spirited in these turns or really getting into it, you've just seen exactly why. Still, we're gonna try to get the most out of this ride. I swear that this van was waiting for a motorcycle to come along so that they could slow me down. I'm calling it. All right, so get into our first wide sweeping turn here. And with forward controls, and you got a little bit of a riser here on the Lowrider S, as opposed to the typical Lowrider, which is going to have like a beach cruiser type swoop back on your handlebars. This is a really nice riding position. It doesn't have you leaning far forward much. For me, I'm 5'6". I have a 30-inch inseam, and my wingspan, or my arm span, is about 5'11". So I have longer arms than your typical person who's 5'6". But still, this isn't much of a reach. I've got my elbows bent, and this is just a really comfortable riding position. You know, you gotta look, every single one of these stops I'm expecting to see a highway patrolman. So really standard gauges here, which are rendered completely useless to somebody who wears a full face helmet when they ride, which is somebody like me. I can't see these at all when I'm trying to look at the road. If I dip my head this far, which is getting dangerously close to be completely taking my eyes off the road, I can see the speedometer, and then to see the tachometer, I mean, I'm basically looking downwards at my tank, and that's you know, I don't know how many people look at their tachometer to see when they're going to shift, but it's just something that's it's a point that I always like to make, because I think that gauges on the tank are pretty much useless. I don't see why we can't put a nice digital gauge here. I mean, you can get an analog gauge too for all of you old school riders who think digital is like a cardinal sin. But yeah, I don't see any reason why we can't have a gauge right up here as opposed to the tank. So anyway, enough about that. Just an excellent suspension. You got the upside down telescopic forks in front, and the adjustable suspension in the rear. I'm assuming it's adjustable. At least they were before. I don't know why they wouldn't be now. So you know, you've got some control over that. I'd like to see in every Harley cruiser adjustable front and rear suspension. You know, we're not all the same size. We're not all the same weight. You know, you might be carrying a passenger. All of these things are going to be a factor in changing the settings on your suspension. So I'd like to see Harley-Davidson go to that model. All right, so we're not even going to be able to get into this turn because we're following this giant van, which I think was planted here so that I'd have to go slow. But you ain't heard it from me. Hopefully we're not behind this van the entire time. Alright, so these mirrors are in a nice spot. The arms on these mirrors are short, so I can see a little bit of my shoulder obstructing the view behind me, but not bad. Maybe a little worse on the left than on the right here, but typically I like to see a little further in the mirror on the left, and on the right it's just fine. I could probably move this in just a tad. There you go. They're going slow though. I mean, this van is making it so we're taking this turn, which it says you need to take this turn at 50, but we're already going under 50 miles an hour. What a bummer, especially on an unguided test ride. So yeah, comfortable ride. This stock saddle actually is pretty decent. You know, typically on a Harley, you talk about Harley tax, swapping out the exhaust, swapping out your grips, swapping out your seat, making upgrades to the bike. I mean, we're talking about this bike's got the stage 2 cam upgrade, and but I think that you'll be able to ride with this stock seat. You know, especially if maybe you're getting close to breaking the bank with a purchase like this, and I'll put the sticker price of the Lowrider S here on the screen for you. Stage 2, I'm not sure. If I have that information, I'll put the stage 2 price as well. But the base price for the standard Lowrider S, you know, you're talking about a $17,000 bike, I think, and so when you're talking about a price like that, you really have to keep in mind that all of the other little things that you might end up spending additional dollars on later on, and the seat is one of them. But this seat actually feels pretty good. It's a little soft, which makes me believe that on a long ride you're going to hit the bottom of that pan, and that's not going to be comfortable for a long time. But I think you're going to be fine going a couple hundred miles. All right, so like I mentioned before, I'm a 5'6", about 30-inch inseam, and what I've always worried about with the air cleaner that's got the big swoop to, I think this is the standard air cleaner on the regular Lowrider S2, is that your knee's gonna hit it. And at 5'6" and a 30-inch inseam, you know, pretty average sized legs, I think, for someone my height, I'm not really getting close to that air cleaner, my knee hitting it, so that's nice. The other nice thing is the seat height on this bike, and I'll have those specs for you here as well. Totally flat footing on both sides. So I mean, if you're somebody who likes to have both feet firmly planted on the ground on your cruiser, maybe somebody you know, who's a little bit worried about tipping the bike over, maybe if you've got a slight build and tipping your bike over is always an issue, you're not gonna have a problem getting both feet planted on the ground if you're someone my size or taller. Got up to speed fast there, but we're not going to go over the speed limit. But man, this bike gets on it for a cruiser, especially. There's going to be a little bit of a turn here, and we're going to test out its ability to get into this turn because we don't have that big van in front of us cramping our ride. So you've got this little mini speed screen or wind screen that you want, whatever Harley calls the screen here that goes just over the headlamp. And you know, it deflects the air pretty decently. The nice thing about that I think about the speed screen is that it deflects air just enough to keep it from just pummeling you in the chest, and you don't get a whole lot of wind buffeting. And that's something that I don't like the big fairings for, is that it adds a lot of turbulence in the area of your head, and it just becomes a pain, a literal pain to ride for a long time. And so this is what I like about the speed screen, and it's doing a good job, especially here. It's a kind of a windy area. You can probably hear the wind noise in my helmet here, but it's not knocking me around. So that's something. Some of you might not like these the screens here in front. I know that's a bit of a point of contention with some, but I think it does a great job at what it's there for. And I also think it looks kind of rad too. So that is just my personal opinion. You can disagree or agree. Either way, I'm having a good time. Okay, so let's talk about the shifting. You know, with cruisers, it's kind of normal to get a little clunk out of your shift. But shifting on the Lowrider S is pretty smooth. You know, it's kind of a typical. That was stupid. I'm not gonna wait for another light. It's got a typical Harley click, but it's not clunky. You know, I'm guessing over time that's gonna change a little bit. I used to ride a Dyna Fat Bob, and that thing was pretty clunky. I put some, I think as they call it, red line primary oil, and that helped with that clunk quite a bit. But for now, man, this is kind of a nice smooth click, especially for a cruiser. So Lowrider S has got the Milwaukee 8 114 cubic inch engine, and man, it gets on it. It's, you know, it's as sporty as you're gonna get when it comes to a big cruiser with a V-twin, and it's just fun to ride. It's comfortable to ride, and it's got the power when you need it, but all that power is pretty linear. Now we're talking about the stage 2 upgrade. The power isn't as linear, so if that's something that you're thinking about doing, maybe start off with your standard. Oh yeah, that was nice. You know, I always worry with a bike that I haven't ridden before. I've ridden this before, but obviously it's been a long time. The Fat Bob that I had a pretty decent lean angle. I'll put the lean angle here for the Lowrider S. But yeah, we leaned over pretty good in that turn, and no peg scrapage, and it instills confidence. You know, the more you lean on a bike like this, the more practice that you get, the more confidence you're gonna get. But I can tell you, I don't know if you can tell in the video, but we leaned pretty good in that turn, and it did just fine. Here, I won't pass this person up on the right. The sound too, man, from the exhaust, that hits a nice note. I like that a lot. You know, you're not gonna get a super loud exhaust from even your stock Lowrider S exhaust, but still it sounds really nice. Okay, so this turn we leaned into pretty well, and if you could tell, the road sloped that way, and that's when you're gonna get even, you know, you're gonna get closer to the road no matter how far you're leaning. And I don't think we came close to scraping. So yeah, with the forward controls here, you've got a pretty good lean angle, and something that you probably aren't gonna have to worry about too much unless you're really getting into the twisties and you're staying at a pretty high rate of speed. All right, guys. Well, this test ride, we're on our way back now. I don't like to let these videos go on for too long. So this is the point of the video where I ask you if you have any questions, to make sure you leave those in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. I've ridden the Dyna Lowrider S, the 2017. I've ridden the 2019 Softail Lowrider S, and now I've ridden the 2021 Softail Lowrider S with the Stage 2 cam upgrade. And I will say that my favorite one to ride is still the Dyna. This is definitely a close second. You did get the premium emulsion shocks. You know, we've gone with the single shock here now because of the Softail model. But you got the premium emulsion shocks, and you've also got standard cruise control. ABS, I think, and if I'm wrong, I'll come standard on the Lowrider S, both the Dyna and the Softail models. But man, there was just something about that Dyna that just was exhilarating, you know, and just had me excited to ride it. And every time I would look at that bike, fall in love all over again. But it was a journey coming to appreciate the new Softail Lowrider S. But I like it. I do like it, and if you like it too, I would definitely encourage you, by all means, give this bike a try. It definitely is worth your time. All right, so kind of cut the video out there as we got to this trafficy area. Nobody likes to watch these videos when there's lots of traffic. And there's a much more scenic, beautiful area here to end the video. So we will end the video here, even though there's a little bit more wind noise than I like riding right into it now. But still, as far as riding in the wind with a Lowrider S, I'm not really you know, you can hear it, but because of this speed screen, I'm not really feeling it. And we've experienced some crosswind and that as well. I know people always like to ask the question, how does it do in the wind? This bike does just fine. You know, you're talking about a heavier bike too, and I'll put the specs for the weight on this bike down here so you can see them. We're talking about around a 700-pound bike, so I believe, am I 700 pounds? Yeah, that sounds about right. Maybe in the mid 600s. You're talking about a heavy bike here, and wind is not going to affect us here. See, now we're getting a bit of a crosswind. Still, just holding true. But guys, now that we're back here on the open road, getting into some beautiful scenery out here in Sonoma, California, at the venue of the International Motorcycle Show Outdoors, put on by Progressive. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure you hit that thumbs up down there, which is the like button. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. Guys, if you're out there riding, please be safe. Be kind to one another. My name is Eric. I'm that one guy. I am out.